Okay, guys. Josh and I have a lot of controversy in the NASCAR world to cover today, so we're not going to waste any more time and get right into this episode of High Side Podcast. Josh, can you give us a quick recap of everything that happened since we were last in the studio?
Hey, what's up, guys? Yeah, we had a few breaking news pieces. Chase Briscoe, they won their appeal from Daytona, so he got all his points back. We have some controversy with Katherine Legge and new drivers coming in, and some guys that have opinions on that. And then we had maybe a little bit of controversy with Austin Cindric at Coda. So a lot of spicy stuff.
Yeah, I'm ready to jump into that as well. We just have to go over real quick some of the winners that happened, and I think we also have some clips to go over from the race at Phoenix. Definitely going to start us off with eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series with the winner at Interlagos, Steven Wilson. Another win on the season. That's 2 in just 3 races. He's looking like Christopher Bell out there right now. I don't even know what number. Is he the 24 car right now, Josh?
I'm not sure, but usually when they go to a road course, you think like somebody like Bobby Zielinski. So it's pretty interesting when you see a name that's not Bobby Zielinski at a road course.
Yeah, so Steven, definitely a guy to watch. Already hot on the season. Now moving into the ARCA race at Phoenix, Brent Cruz. He had a good week. He won the pole and the race. So a big day for that team. The truck series, they were in Las Vegas. By the way, we are recording this as of Saturday, March 15th. So we're just getting caught up right now. But the truck winner at Las Vegas was Corey Heim. He picked up the win at Las Vegas. That was last night, right?
Yes.
Pretty sure it was. Yeah. So, now rewind to the Xfinity winner for Phoenix. That was Eric Almirola. Picked a last lap pass on Alex Bowman. How often do we see a lot of these Cup guys racing down in the Xfinity series now? I feel like it's been a lot less recently.
Yeah, it doesn't happen as often as it used to since they kind of cut down on who could earn points and whatever in lower series. They used to run like every week, but now we'll see like, Hendrick puts on that 17 car and each of their Cup drivers might run a race or two. So that was one of them. And then, some other guys, but we don't see a Penske car out there anymore or anything. So it's usually just a lot of regulars, and I think it makes the racing better.
Yeah, it's been fun sitting and watching these Xfinity races, at least whenever I can catch it. And as a matter of fact, you and I and some of the editors just sat and watched the end of the Xfinity race today at Las Vegas. And Justin Allgaier finally grabs first win of the season. That was, I believe, his 26th career victory. So already back in his hot seat off of last season with Junior Motorsports winning the title. Obviously, that great Cup race today, this year at Daytona, their first Cup start. So I'm sure Allgaier and that team is just really ecstatic to be back in victory lane. Now, we saved this at the end of our recap. We're going to go back to last week, the Cup winner at Phoenix. And Christopher Bell is going to be our main story for today, but third win in a row at Phoenix and battling his teammate Denny Hamlin. You had a betting update on that, didn't you, Josh?
Yeah, I think Christopher Bell has gotten to where he's going to be about the favorite every week. I think he's second in line this week to Kyle Larson for Las Vegas. I can't remember what he was last week, but I think he was definitely a favorite. But you mentioned how we've been talking about Christopher Bell a lot. He's definitely earned it. And I know I joked with you last night that, we're the High Side podcast, but, if he goes and wins another race or two, we might end up being just the Christopher Bell podcast. I'm sure he would enjoy that.
Yeah, I don't know. These editors probably aren't too excited about that. I can't imagine they've been, because they do all the work. We just sit here and shoot the shit on a microphone the entire time. But this entire studio, all the posters you guys are seeing, these big screens, like all that animation and all this wonderful work our guys over at JUICYSPYDR Studios are doing. I can't imagine they're too excited to keep putting that 20 car up on the big screen every single week. Like they've got to be getting burnt out from it by now. But even some of the editors that don't really pay much attention to NASCAR anymore, even they know who the hell Christopher Bell is now. So that's hilarious. Let's go ahead. We're going to do a couple of clips from that Phoenix race, starting with the lap 10 Shane Van Gisbergen on board. Pulling it up now. Here it is. Going up on the screen. Okay, they're really wide. This must be fresh. I'm assuming off a restart.
Yeah, they had a really early spin. I think Katherine Legge spun real early, and we see Shane there. He did really good getting on the brakes and getting around that. But that's one of them Phoenix things. They can get 5, 6, 8 wide going down there into turn one, as wide as that track is, and then it funnels down, and they have to try and get too wide again, and it makes some mass chaos like we saw right there. You see, he's looking at about the same thing Gisbergen is, and he wasn't quite as lucky this time. He ended up out of the race on this one.
Okay, so all right, we have 2 different onboard shots. All right, so yeah, that was Shane Van Gisbergen.
Yeah, there was a lot of good cars that got taken out there, and
let's go ahead, and since we're right here, let's pull up that Hocevar on board too. Lap 99, same crash. Here off turn 2. Oh yeah. See, I was at work when this happened. I remember I was just looking over at the TV because of the guys at home theater are nice enough to throw up one of the NASCAR races for me while I'm working out in computers. And oh man, just seeing Brad get tore up in yet another crash. What is this, 3 weeks in a row? That poor man's just been in every wreck that you could imagine. I think the only one he didn't crash at was the road course. So I guess not 3 weeks in a row, but I mean, we cut this guy a break, fellas.
Yeah, that was a pretty wild one you saw there in the beginning. Right off the left front of Hocevar, Briscoe got interlocked with a tire with another driver, and his car went straight up in the air, and he took a pretty big hit, and he was done for the day as well.
Yeah, his side window blew out of the car. I mean, that was a hit. I wonder did they come out with like data on that, like what the G forces were on the side of the car?
I don't know if they told us, but I know that's definitely something that they can find. And Phoenix is a great track for. There's a lot of the main fan base may not like it for whatever reasons, maybe specific reasons, but if you're somebody new to the sport and you just like to see a lot of entertainment and crashes, you better watch every Phoenix race, because those restarts especially, they give you an opportunity to see it all the time.
Yeah, Phoenix has become a pretty good race to watch. I miss when they had the grass. And I honestly, as much as I enjoy watching Phoenix races, I wish it wasn't the championship race every single year, but I think eventually they'll figure that part out. But overall, it's been fun to watch these races. This next gen car has been getting better and better at these shorter tracks and flatter tracks. So, but I tell you what, one gentleman who has figured it out at every possible track configuration you can imagine right now is Christopher Bell.
That he has, and I think we looked last night, and one thing that's interesting, he's won 3 out of 4 races and only led 114 laps. Like triple-digit laps in 4 races, that's a lot, but if you've won 3, it seems like 114 is pretty light. What do you think?
Yeah, it is, honestly. I mean, because when we do it on the sim, right? Like, you know, as long as you lead one of them, it's the last one, right? And so
That's kind of what he's been doing.
His team is doing a great. I don't know if I know they're qualifying, like their average qualifying runs like 20 something this season. So they're starting midfield, and I don't even want to imagine how hard it is to pass in this car. But their crew and that crew chief, and obviously Bell on the track, they're doing what they need to do to get through this traffic throughout the entire race. And, you know, so I can't imagine the reason is him being at the right place at the right time. Like, I think the reason their numbers are so deflated in terms of laps led has to be because of the somewhat mediocre qualifying runs.
Yeah, and there's going to be some point where, you know, you obviously want to start up front in every race, but, you know, he's got the hot hand and he's doing everything right in the car, but you know there's going to be that 1 week where he might qualify 20th place and something's going to bite him pretty early. And usually sometimes when that happens, it might start some kind of downward spiral. So you better use the hot hand while he's got it and stack up as many points as possible, because we see all the time, you know, guys have these hot starts and they're not always able to maintain it.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that. Remind me again, where are we going next week? Or well, I guess tomorrow.
They're Vegas, so they go back to the shop in North Carolina and then go right back out west to where they basically just were.
Oh my goodness. And that's right, duh, because they've been doing it all weekend, obviously. Forgive me, guys. I'm at work all the time. But so remind me, did Christopher Bell win at Vegas last season?
I don't remember if he won at Vegas last season, but I know he's been strong there, and led a lot of laps and been in contention. But like, I don't have the stats up right in front of me to answer that one definitively.
Yeah, that was kind of off the cuff here. I have everything written down that we're looking at, and sometimes I think of something and then I want to throw it in. But now what I do have written down, Christopher Bell is the first driver to get 3 consecutive wins in the next gen era. The last driver to do it at all was Kyle Larson in 2021, and then you'll have to go back to 2018 when Kevin Harvick did it. And as a matter of fact, Kevin Harvick also won 3 of the first 4 races. So Kevin Harvick, Kyle Larson, champions in our Cup Series. You have to imagine Christopher Bell is clearly en route to pick up his title as well.
Yeah, he's definitely on pace for sure. And one thing that's kind of incredible about this run he's on right now is, like you said, it's the first in the next gen era. We haven't seen one driver pop off, in this car yet and just go and win, multiple races in a row, or, like 3 out of 6 or, 4 out of 7 or something like that. So it's really hard to get a hot hand and do what he's doing since this car has been introduced. And, he's been able to do it. And, everybody's chasing him, trying to figure out what they're doing, trying to be the next ones to do it. And maybe nobody will. Because, we've seen since this car's been introduced, the competition be much closer than it's probably ever been across the Cup Series.
Yeah, and you might be onto something there. Maybe now is the time we're going to start seeing like teams be able to go out there and be that 2014 Penske or the 2006 through 2010 Hendrick, where there's a team that's going to be good. It's not randomized as much anymore, because what we have like somewhere around like 14 to 18 different winners every season, I think.
Yeah.
Hell, that might even be just a statistic before the chase even starts, if I remember correctly. But quick update. Our editor sent over Joey Logano won last season at Las Vegas, but Christopher Bell did finish second and had the best car. So, I mean, if Christopher Bell's going to go out here and win tomorrow, like, how worried should the rest of the field be? Because that's a cookie cutter.
I wouldn't necessarily say they'd be super worried, just because like I know a lot of these drivers think that they can go and do it too, and like they're going to get their opportunities to win races. But the biggest thing he's doing right now is playoff points. Each one of those wins is worth 5 points. So he's pulling away for whenever that first round of the playoffs starts, and then when the second and third round of the playoffs starts, like he's going to have a pretty comfortable gap to be able to maybe have that mulligan race that some of the other guys that get in there maybe just off of one win or off of points don't get, just by having a big bank of points.
Yeah. And obviously, at least we've noticed with this car, just because you kick off hot doesn't mean it's going to finish off that way. Joey Logano being living proof of that. The polar opposite of what we're talking about with Christopher Bell. Starts off kind of, mid or slow, and then all of a sudden lights a fire under his ass in the chase, goes and wins a championship. So,
yeah. And before we get too far into anything else, I know you said you didn't get to watch much of the Phoenix Cup race, but what do you think about the idea of NASCAR and Goodyear introducing an option tire to be able to give them an opportunity to mix up the race a little bit and not always run on a hard? They get an opportunity to go run on softs and gain some speed.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I think anything to do with a tire model being softer is always going to be a positive impact. I don't really care what anybody says about that Bristol race that happened a couple years ago. I can't remember what year it was exactly when I think Hamlin won the damn race. And Truex got like second, Brad was third. When everyone was like chewing through tires, you know what I'm talking about. But
yeah,
if you, and I know that was a bit extreme, like don't get me wrong, it doesn't need to be that bad. But if we can get to a point where we can see that kind of fall off again in stock car racing, I am all for it. And Nick, our editor, makes up a great point. If they do that in real life, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do that on iRacing as well. And I think giving, especially leagues, the option to be able to set it what kind of tire that we use that particular race. Either we use both, we use the regular one, or we use the soft one. Just having that kind of option to mess with would be so good. But yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm on the same thing. I can't remember, who all did it and in what sequences, and like there was a lot of different guys that were off strategy. But like Joey Logano, for instance, he got penalized for going under the line too soon before the start finish line. Had to do his pass through penalty. Ended up in like 30th place. So that's a perfect opportunity for him to go in and put on a tire that he could run a half a second lap faster than everybody, and it ended up getting him to the lead, and he won a stage off of it. So yeah, it definitely did its job. And we don't know yet if they're going to look to maintain that for like the championship race, or if that option tire is just going to become like the default for the championship race. Like I think that's the way they want to go, but it would definitely make another interesting storyline if they had some kind of hard and soft option to determine the champion as well. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. Especially if they if one team saved their set for the end of the race and everyone else is just screwed.
Yeah. And for anybody that might be watching along with us when this drops, what do you think about the Joey Logano penalty? I know a lot of people will probably be on board with it because it's Joey Logano, but that was like Clint Boyer was saying on the broadcast, like that was a pretty ticky-tack call. Like they went right into that gray area with that, and like I agree with it because it is the rule. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, good question. I didn't even get to see much of it, but I'm gonna have to go back after the show and check it out myself. But Josh, I wanted to bring up something regarding Bell. He's actually going to be running in the high limit racing dirt race at Las Vegas with Kyle Larson and Casey Kane. This weekend, or unless it's already happened, in which case, sorry.
It'll have happened by the time we drop this, but it hasn't happened to this
the time of record. Okay,
I think maybe it's tonight.
Okay, so I don't know really jack about the dirt racing. I have a vague idea. I can't do it on iRacing. I don't watch it, but I have to ask, and this may be a dumb question, but it seems to me like dirt racing has got to have some kind of a factor in the success that we're seeing from some drivers in the Cup Series. I mean, Larson, he's one of the best Cup drivers right now. Christopher Bell's one of the best Cup drivers right now. Noah Gragson's a good driver. Casey Kane, he did dirt after NASCAR, I think. I don't know too much on that, but is this playing some kind of a role in the success that they're having?
I almost gotta think it does. Obviously it's two completely different disciplines. You're not gonna see one of them, a dirt one-off guy come in and just probably have success in one race, maybe some Cup guys might go and do on dirt. But like you said, we've got Bell, Larson, probably two of the greatest ever. They've made it to the Cup Series, so I would be willing to say that there's some great dirt drivers out there, but maybe two of the greatest ever. Then you think Tyler Reddick, he did it as well. Chase Briscoe, there's a bunch of them, and then there's other drivers that Ty Gibbs. He's running that race this weekend as well, and I don't know really his background in dirt. I would like to think he doesn't have much, but he's probably just going down there to gain some kind of experience with it. It has to take a different level of car control, obviously. We see Kyle Larson all the time. He ends up driving this next gen car like you don't think anybody can. We always see, maybe from our experience on iRacing, you get this thing a little bit loose, and if you're not quick with it, you're done. Kyle Larson can drive this thing on the edge of control like he's in a dirt sprint car and save it somehow. So those movements with the hands and just all the coordination, everything, I think it definitely comes into play. I wouldn't see any reason why it wouldn't.
Yeah, because the little bit I've done on dirt and next gen on iRacing, I know it doesn't really transfer over into the real world or anything, but I don't know. Because even on short tracks, yeah, it is definitely it's not an easy task by any means. I could not drive dirt to save my life. I'd wipe out half the field. I did also want to bring up it's a statistic I find interesting regarding Christopher Bell. It seems like he's treated as the underdog at Joe Gibbs Racing, but the man leads in statistics most seasons since 2022. So is he in my opinion, he's the number one Gibbs guy.
Yeah, I would say, statistically, when you're statistically the number one guy, you're the number one guy. But I think most people that, have been around for a while are still going to say it's Denny Hamlin. When they come down to an end of a race, if they're equal, I would still like to think that Denny Hamlin, has an edge on most people. But, until they, come down head to head. They did last week at Phoenix, but, I didn't think they were, on the same level of competitiveness all race last week. But, until they show up to the track with the same setup and just kind of the same level of competitiveness for 400 miles or something, and they go head to head, we might not know, but I would definitely say, obviously right now, he would be looked at as the number one driver for sure.
Well, Josh, I have to ask you one more question in regards to Christopher Bell. Is it too early to call him the championship favorite?
I think we were calling him the championship favorite maybe after his first win this season. and then we might have doubled down. I think you might have picked him. I could be wrong, but we might have doubled down on it after a second win. It's kind of hard to not say he's the favorite right now, winning 3 races, and like I said, having those 15 points for just the wins in the bank. So he's definitely the favorite until, like I said earlier, somebody either finds out how to match him, or his luck just kind of runs its course, and other guys start, getting on a hot streak or winning races too.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. He's definitely my favorite in terms of the title. Obviously, I hope it's going to be Brad in that 6 car, but smart me would say it's Bell. All right. We'll close the book on Christopher Bell. I know you guys love hearing us talk about him every single week. So maybe next week we'll have 4
one more piece on Christopher before we move on. I saw a piece on, like, Joey Logano was asked today at Las Vegas just about Christopher Bell. And Logano being Logano, he has a lot of haters. He asked, he's got 3 wins in a row. Why aren't we hearing more boos? So, that's an interesting question. We saw it with Jimmy Johnson when he was dominating. We've seen it with Kyle Busch. Guys start winning a lot, and the fans turn their backs on him for some reason. So if he wins 2 more races, or the NASCAR fans going to turn their backs on him, or are they going to love him even more? Let us know in the comments if you're on Bell's side winning races, or if it's going to get old before too long.
We'll have to find out. And then now if the dude starts winning like 5 in a row championships, then he's 100% going to be the worst driver in NASCAR history.
People can't handle winners.
I know, it's pretty funny. I'm going to skip over something real quick, and we'll go straight into a little more positivity here before we jump into the controversy. Chase Briscoe, and you already mentioned it a little earlier, but Chase Briscoe did successfully appeal, which overturned an L2 penalty, 100 driver points. That's for driver and team, 10 playoff points, and $100,000 fine. That was also for the driver and the team. So it was a good thing for them to get that off their back, especially because first season with the new team, having that on your shoulders, right off rip, that had to sucked.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
100 driver points is 100 driver points is equal to 2 races, and then those 10 playoff points. I mentioned the bank that Christopher Bell has. That's debt that Chase Briscoe started the season with. He was basically 2 wins in debt, so he would have had to win 4 races to even get 10 playoff points back. So it was a good thing that came back their way, because he jumped from in the negative to, I think we looked, he's like 20th in points or something right now.
Yeah, it's good that I don't know, they can focus now for the rest of their season. I think Briscoe is a good fit for that team. It's still early, so he's sitting like 20th in points, I think. So he hasn't had the greatest running start, but how can you when your teammates winning all of it? So
yeah, I think one thing that's also good for him is he didn't ever lose James Small while the appeal was being looked at, because they have to get to the conclusion of it before they make the calls for suspensions and stuff. But being a new team, it's good that he's not losing those 4 races with his brand new crew chief. So they get to kind of just keep building chemistry together, and not have a void in the season where he has to learn somebody new and then get back to his brand new crew chief. So that's something that's going to be good for them too.
Yeah. Just so everyone is on the same page as us, the panel that overturned that penalty believed that the elongation of some of the holes on the spoiler base was caused by the process of attaching that specific spoiler to their rear deck, and not a modification of a single source part. So that would be the reason that they overturned it. So all in all, excellent for that group. But we do have to jump into some controversy, and we will start it off with Katherine Legge. She's gotten some backlash from the NASCAR community. Some of the NASCAR superstars, Kevin Harvick, I think he made a comment on it. Some other folks that you might have more knowledge on that than I would, but I have heard some ruffled feathers over the fact that she was put in a cup race with very little previous oval experience. So if you could elaborate on that and tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, well, she had a self spin and then another crash in this race, but let's go ahead and watch the clip and then we'll get into kind of the backstory on it.
Yep, go ahead and throw that up on screen for me, editors.
Yeah, you'll
Daniel
see
Suarez on board here.
She pushes up the track,
Ooh.
Into the side of Josh Berry.
Damn.
And at this point, we see Suarez, he's running top 5, or I think 6th place at that point. I think he was one of those guys. We talked about the option tire. He had to run on the option tire, got himself into the top 10, and had a first timer take him out. And he ended up out of the race from that point on.
Yeah, and he's already had a bad couple of races anyway, if not more. I don't remember what happened before the road course race, but excuse me, I'm trying not to burp. But he did get in that crash with his teammate. Granted, he spun off a curb, but still, Suarez is just annoyed at this point. He's ready to get a good race, a finish in, let alone a good race. So,
yeah, and you mentioned that obviously from that there's been some backlash from the NASCAR fan community, and then within the industry itself from like drivers and teams and whatever. But I think a lot of the opinions on that from those two different bases of people are probably going to be different. The community probably doesn't like her being there for some maybe specific reasons, but a lot of the Cup Garage, I think their biggest issue with her being in that race, one was, she's in a car that, even when they have a veteran in there, isn't competitive. Maybe it'll run a little bit more competitive than what she did, but she kind of got thrown into a ride that was probably going to run last anyway. We've looked at her previous NASCAR history. I think she has one oval start. It's in the Xfinity Series or something, but she has, I think, 6 or 7 previous NASCAR starts, all on road courses. So she didn't have very much time in a Cup car specifically to be ready for this race. And I think what they do is, they go out there and run 20 minutes of practice. So she's coming from running IndyCar. She's a wealth of experience in IndyCar and open wheel and other stuff like that. But, a lot of the drivers will say, like, when you come over into their Cup series and, you have that very little experience and none in the Cup car going into a week, it's not only dangerous but to them, but it's dangerous to her too. And it's maybe even a little bit embarrassing to, quite frankly, to put a driver that has 0 experience out there in the top level of motorsports in America. And, you maybe just want to see them change up their licensing program or something, like some of the drivers have talked about, maybe have made her run an ARCA race or start on an Xfinity oval race or something before coming to Cup and just kind of prove your worth. But I know, like, Joey Logano mentioned, if he wanted to go over and just run a random F1 race, it's already next to impossible for somebody to get a license to run an F1. And he said he doesn't blame them for being that way, because if he wanted to go and run, let's just say Monaco or something, if he wanted to go and run Monaco, he doesn't expect them to let him do it, because he doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to be off the pace, and even if they just gave him 20 minutes, he's not going to be ready, and
right.
he's just going to be in the way. So, why does NASCAR just let somebody come in with 20 minutes of experience and just be in the way? So that's the debate. That'll be the debate going forward. And I know I asked in a comment on social media, I'm like, I wonder what Suarez, what he said about Elio running Daytona. And he did comment on that this weekend. He mentioned how Elio got the ARCA race. They have a lot more practice to run the Daytona 500. They have the dual races. So, even though none of that went particularly well for him, like he got a lot of laps on the track before he ran the Daytona 500, whereas Katherine Legge got like 20 minutes, which might equate to like 10 laps on the track. So that'll be the debate going forward with new drivers coming into the top level of motorsports in America. We don't want to see our sport being, I wouldn't say ruined, but, maybe just like have embarrassing things like that happen when they really could be prevented.
Yeah. I also had something, I don't know if this even correlates, but you could take my somewhat excluded from NASCAR mind into somebody who is very included into the NASCAR world right now, which is you. I remember like very recently, I think it was for the Daytona 500, but they would not let Mike Wallace on the racetrack because he was out of the Cup Series for too long. But yeah. I mean, how come a guy who does have Cup experience isn't allowed to race, but Katherine Legge, and like I said, nothing against her, I just want to know why she's allowed and why he's not.
I think that's the question we may never get an answer to. I don't know if they ever gave an answer to that, maybe outside of him just being old, LOL. But who knows? There's, they did this open exemption provisional policy thing that, gave us an opportunity to get, other world superstars into races like Elio and, like other guys we might see. But I think they think it's cool when you get somebody coming from, like IndyCar or maybe Formula One or whatever, but something like that to come over. So it's cool when our communities kind of intermix and like Suarez even said, he said it was nothing against her. And he mentioned, like, he brought up the diversity program. He's part of the diversity program. He wants to see, Mexican drivers. He wants to see black drivers, women drivers, whatever. He wants to see them all. And it was nothing against her, just kind of the way they go about it.
Yeah. Well, continuing onward with controversy, we also had a controversy regarding Austin Cindric. Then this is, we're probably going to breeze through this part, but and I think we covered this on the previous episode when they were at COTA, and he hooked Josh. What was the guy's name? Ty Dillon. Okay, is he in the 10 car now?
Yes.
Ty Dillon in the 10. Okay, I was thinking of Josh Berry, but he's in the 4 car. I still have like a Stuart Haas on my mind, even though they're not around anymore. So he did not get suspended after that right hook, and people are up in arms about it. We've heard a lot of comments from, Josh Berry's in the 21 now. Sorry, I got a little.
Yeah, I think we were Ty Dillon in the 10. I don't know where we got intermixed. Yeah, Ty Dillon in the 10, Josh Berry in the 21.
Who's in the 4?
In the 2. Got the 4 is Noah.
No, okay.
Yeah.
I must be thinking of like last year, whatever.
Yeah, Mr. Clean around here got to tidy it up a little
bit. So anyway, Cindric right hooked the 10 of Ty Dillon.
Yeah.
And gets a 50-point penalty and a $50,000 fine. But people are upset, not at Cindric per se, but at NASCAR because they didn't suspend him when, in fact, they did suspend other drivers for right hooking as well. I think most recent that comes to memory would be Bubba Wallace and Chase Elliott.
Yeah, those would be two for sure. You know, like Kyle Busch said, he's done it. He got a week. They kind of set a standard, you know, when they did that with Bubba and Chase, and they kind of just said, "Oh, it is a road course. You know, they're going pretty slow. It's different." That doesn't make much sense to me, but you know, if that's the route they want to go with it, fine. The 50-point penalty is kind of a one race suspension if you think about it, but still, I think most drivers just kind of wanted to see them stay consistent. I think that's one of the things that we've mentioned has been kind of a miss this season and other seasons even past, is just the consistency with the rules, and that's where we were at with that. So I think a lot of people probably agree with us on that, and we just want to know what you think about Cindric not getting a one racer penalty, or maybe should he have. Something we need to spend much more time on that. What else you got for us?
Well, actually, we have one other clip. Oh, wait a second. Our editor has a comment on this as well. Let me pull it up. The only problem, Nick says this, the only problem is without him getting suspended, he could win his way into the chase because he is on track.
That's true.
That is a valid point.
He could have went and won Vegas and it all been okay.
So that's pretty much going to wrap up everything that we have regarding NASCAR. But we do have a clip. I have not seen this. It's going to be Mr. Beast crashing a Formula E car. We're going to watch this. At least I am for the first time. I don't know if you've seen this previously, but
this was a week or so ago. They had a little bit of a celebrity showdown. There's maybe 10 other celebrities down in Miami driving these Formula E cars. You know, this is probably something none of us could do either, but we just wanted to have a little bit of fun with it. So we'll see what you have to say about it, Donnie.
All right, Nick and Mike, go ahead and throw this up on the screen for us.
You see, he's sitting there behind the Porsche pace car. He just tries to go through that turn, and I'm assuming he just hits the gas just a little bit too much, a little bit too quick. It's another view of it. Yeah, I think he got out of the car and he asked, like, you know, what happened? Like, what did I do? Is the car okay? Like, I think they said most of the cars came back in one piece, so I don't think he was the only incident. But one thing I did read about those cars, the Formula E, they said it's the fastest, like, single seat car basically in the world from 0 to 60. I think it's like 1.8 seconds, which is insane. So I would say that level of torque, he's probably never driven something with that level of intensity in his life. So that probably took him by surprise when that happened. He was unharmed also, uninjured, completely uninjured.
So, and you see what I have on screen right now, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, regarding Mr. Beast spinning out, first of all, you know, it's funny, obviously, and it's not us, so it's even better to, like, poke fun at it. But to be completely real with everyone watching, those cars have a ton of RPM, torque. Like, even stepping on it a little is going to, like, you have to have experience to drive those cars. And any one of us, like, I would have wadded it up. Ain't no way you're putting me out there fresh into a Formula E car and I'm going to not wreck it. Like, 100% I'm going to crash. So I'm not going to pretend I wouldn't.
That's proof that, you know, you can have all the money in the world right there and still not be able to do everything perfectly. So even Mr. Beast is human. So Mr. Beast, if you ever see this for some reason, we're not making fun of you. We're having fun.
Yeah, and Mr. Beast, I also challenge you to come do a league race with any of our groups. We can point you in the right direction. We'll put Juicy Spider on the car for you. I'm sure these guys won't mind it. And we'll have a superstar guest in our race. So if you see this, come race with us. Reach out to us on Twitter.
I'm guessing he's already got a rig set up that's probably even better than that one we saw Denny Hamlin run on during COVID.
100%. He's going to put all the money in the world to come race NAOR with us.
I wouldn't see why not. It'd be a good opportunity for him.
Yep. Big sponsorship, Juicy Spider Studios. You know, keep an eye out there, Mr. Beast. So we're going to close out the show with a couple community engagement videos. And honestly, this is just going to be stuff I don't know that they are aware of this, but I'm going to select, these are going to be my submissions. We have Juicy Spider Studios with something they've been working on for a long time. 3D animation, like Mike and his wife Andrea, so much work went into this. Really cool stuff that these guys have done. I'm blown away by it. I still don't understand what I'm really looking at here, but they have recreated like a 1-to-1 of an iRacing car in 3D, in a 3D aspect ratio. So I don't even know if that made sense what I just said, but my uneducated ass is about to watch this thing. So
yeah, I was gonna say it made sense to me, and one thing we can say is nobody's doing it better.
Exactly, no one's doing this better than Juicy Spider Studios right here. So surprise for Nick and Mike, we're gonna put your video up as community engagement part of the show. Go ahead and I know you guys got it ready to rock, so put it up on screen for us. And I'm just gonna sit back and watch. I'm not even gonna talk over this thing. I'm gonna let the audio take its course here, because really cool stuff. Congratulations to Jonathan Parker, who won the NAOR iRacing Series Championship yesterday in Kansas. And this video was made for that moment.
And we have no affiliation with Lowe's, by the way.
No affiliation with Lowe's, yes. That is incredible work by everyone at Juicy Spider Studios. Really got to thank them for everything they do for not only the racers that they are affiliated with on Fridays, every day of the week, it seems like at this point. And not only that, but for making Josh and I look as good as possible in this 3D world. Granted, you don't see us right now. That's going to be down the line in the future, but the room you've been looking at this entire time, all 3D animation. Excellent work by these guys. If you would like to have anything submitted at the end of our videos, follow this guide on screen right here. They're going to have the hashtag, whatever you need to do. Check out these guys on Twitter. Check out us on Twitter, wherever, Josh, wherever you want them to follow you. Leave comments. Check the description box. I'm sure you're going to see a lot in there as well. Josh, do you have anything you want to add before we send these guys off of YouTube?
Yeah, so that's at RobinsRacing_88 on X. I go by X, but if you liked anything you saw on that Victory Lane graphic with the 48 car there, their commissions are always open, so make sure to get that in. Absolutely, 100%. All right, guys. Thanks for waiting for us to drop another episode. We've been having a lot of good feedback from you guys. Looking forward to seeing the premiere, how it goes. Other than that, check out these little highlights. By the way, we got some funny stuff happening over on Juicy Spider Gaming as well. I'm sure they'll throw something in there for us to close out the show with. Anyway, outro. You guys have a good one. We'll see you next time.
What happened to that? What that?